What's up, guys? Dennis here. Hope you're doing good. Another video for you on what I think is critical, and that's having your own independent mind, right? Your ability to believe what you want, think what you want, feel the way that you want to feel, see things the way that you're seeing them, and making decisions based off what you're seeing and what makes sense to you, right? I think this is absolutely critical, right? The people that are the most successful, the biggest influencers, these are people that feel a particular way about many things or a particular thing. They see the world a certain way and they're telling their truth. They make decisions based off of that, right? And they're very grounded in their foundation. And this is critical, right? Because I've seen, and we've all seen this, we've probably experienced this before too, where when you're living your life in a way where you're just constantly taking in others' opinions, others' beliefs, and just formulating your lifestyle, your belief system, your traditions, your actions, your mindsets around what other people think and believe, your life is going to be up and down all the time, right? There's no better feeling than knowing who you are and feeling that person, being that person all the time, right? It's crucial to develop your ability to be yourself at all times. And this is the case, and it's critical across the board in all areas of your life, right? There's certain experiences that I've had that kind of, good and bad, right? Some cases I might have not been as independent as I should have been, independent-minded as I should have been. In other cases, I have been, and it's worked out very well. So I wanted to go over some of the different experiences that I've had and realizations, and kind of impart that on you. In the case that some of you might be in a situation where you're working in different areas and platforms, you believe in certain things, there's certain things that you want to follow and pursue in your life, and you're kind of in this weird area where you're not sure, there's other people around you that are kind of throwing you off your game. You don't know if you should believe in certain things, or you should work in certain areas, or people are talking down to you about what you believe you should be working on, that sort of thing, right? Everyone has an opinion, and there's nothing more tragic than not pursuing what you want to pursue and living your life on someone else's terms. At the end of the day, I believe that what people are absolutely looking for is freedom. And there's different levels of freedom. There's so many different levels of freedom, right? You can have financial freedom, you can have emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, mental freedom. There's so many levels of freedom, right? But I think ultimately we're all looking for freedom. And your ability to think independently of circumstances, of your emotions, of other people's beliefs and opinions is critical, right? And it just shows someone that's like that. You can tell that they have that level of independence in their life, and they're probably going to be happier than others that don't, right? If you're able to cultivate your own level of independence, it's going to infiltrate all areas of your life, and you'll see it in play everywhere, right? Your ability to be independent allows you to look at what other people are doing, be able to assess, is this working, is it not working, what results are people generating by doing this or not doing that, right? Looking at people that have certain belief systems and say, okay, how's that working for them? Should I not do this? Should I do this a certain way, right? And this is critical, because if you have the awareness that you need to kind of notice all that, you can assess and analyze that, and then you can think, okay, I know people are saying I should do this, or everyone else is doing that. Does this make sense, right? And this is kind of the point of the video. Assessing what you're doing, assessing what other people are doing, right? And being independent enough to think, should I or should I not do that, right? It sounds so simple, but there's so many people that you can tell they're not doing that, right? They either lack the awareness to know what they should and shouldn't do, or they don't lack that awareness and they're still going down certain paths that don't make sense to them. And I've always been what I consider to be a very aware person. And there's certain experiences and areas in my life where I was maybe not as independent as I should have been, as far as like my mindset and kind of assessing what's going on. Should I do this and not do that, and that sort of stuff. So I do internet marketing for a living. I started many years back in the offline space in a completely different area and business platform, but that was my first introduction to like being around people that are into personal growth and self-development, and books and audios and conferences and blah 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 and that sort of thing. And because it was my first experience to that, my first exposure to that environment, right? I was attracted to it. And long story short, I spent several years following that platform, and I didn't change directions soon enough, right? I didn't change directions as fast as I should have. I kind of maintained, not being aware that maybe there were other vehicles I could have used, different things I could have done, better places to put my money and my effort and my time, and that sort of thing. And I spent a little too long in that particular platform. And I've heard it put this way: a mistake is an experiment that's been run for too long. And I don't particularly regret that. I've learned tons of different things. It's the things that I learned and the things that I saw were working, were not working, allowed me to then kind of change directions, see what I needed to focus on, learn different things, get on different platforms, learn new skill sets, and just change directions. And that's kind of how, I found my way. But the purpose of the video is so that in everything that you do, make sure that you maintain your own independence. Always allow yourself to have the capability to look at a situation and know if it's something that you should be doing, if it feels right to you, if it makes sense. Just because other people think something doesn't mean that you should think that way. Just because other people are doing certain things doesn't mean you should be doing that, right? There's thousands of paths that you can take in life. There's thousands of ways you can do anything, right? There's different ways to lose weight, different ways to exercise, different places to study, different types of education, different types of businesses to build, different ways to be healthy. And anything that you do, there's going to be tons of different ways that you can go about it, right? But in everything that you do, if you're able to assess, I'm going to try this, I'm going to gather some data for myself, right? And then see if this is working for me or not. And if it's not working for you, even though you may be in an environment where other people might be doing something and you're kind of part of that team or whatnot, always maintain the awareness to know that you have to be getting something out of it, right? Because you're investing your time, your money, your energy into something, and you're trying to create a particular result. And if that's not happening for you soon enough, you can say, okay, this isn't working for me. I need to change gears. I need to actually try this a different way or do something completely different. Because what ends up happening is it's very easy to stay comfortable. You might have your first exposure to something, right? And say, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to do this, right? But this is what ended up happening to me. When I first started, I guess, in this marketing space offline, right? It was my first exposure to that kind of people and that environment. So I was immediately attracted to it. But just because, and this is critical right here, just because you're attracted to the way these particular people think or what they're saying and that their mindset doesn't mean that you should be doing what they're doing. Because there's so many different vehicles to pursue whatever it is that you want to do. In this particular case, I'm talking a financial platform, right? There's so many ways to move forward financially and so many different things that you can chase. And I want you to understand this right here. This is critical because I spent a lot more time in that particular area in that platform than I needed to. And this is why I wanted to make the video. It was my first exposure. I was young. I was about 17 years old at the time. And I was attracted to this environment. And because of that, because I was young, because of my first exposure to this area, I stayed there a little too long because I didn't think that there may be other opportunities out there to do things a little bit more efficiently or that were in my strength zones. And then I started ignoring the signs that, okay, this isn't what I should be doing. This doesn't make sense to me. But, once you start questioning things, you have to take those as warning signs and kind of walk yourself through the process and say, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. Why am I doing this? Or why is everyone teaching this? Or why are they doing it like that when they could do it like this? And those questions are formulating what you should know, the questions you should be asking, because questions allow you to then look for the answers. And when you're looking for the answers, that's what puts you on the right track to find those answers and get to the next level, a different platform, right? And I wanted to make the video because if you're into personal development, there's going to be tons of different opportunities you're going to find where you're going to be attracted to the way that these people that are promoting these different platforms because of their mindset, right? Because success leaves clues. And ambitious people, successful people, they probably read books. They have a particular mindset. They might be throwing quotes out there. They might, they have that thing about them that a lot of people do that, are into personal development and business and all that stuff. And they might be very intelligent and they might be very persuasive with their language and, and you get all wrapped up in it, and then what ends up happening is you start becoming committed and attracted to that person, but you do what they do because you're attracted to what that person is saying. Now you're tapping into that vehicle when that vehicle might not be what you should be doing, but you think it is because it's what that person is doing, and you're connected to that person in a particular way, right? You're attracted to their mindset and how they're talking and that sort of thing. And that can be dangerous, because what that can do is you start connecting two different things where you could still like the person but not do what that person is doing. Because if you do what that person is doing just because it's your first exposure to a mindset that you connect with, then you might go down the wrong path and be on that path for a very long time, and then realize, I shouldn't have done that, or I could have stopped doing this a long time ago, or I could have tried this, or I could have learned this instead and gone down this path. And I spent several years of my life doing that and chasing that particular platform, and I was being completely ineffective, but I was part of this system and this environment that was cultivating all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, seems right, but there's a lot of things off with this, right? And I started asking questions a little too late. So I don't want you, as you pursue maybe financial gain and different stuff, to go down these paths where you might connect with someone that's promoting a particular platform or a vehicle for finances or whatever, and they're talking this big game, and they're like, all about this, and they talk about their story, how they were broke before and all this stuff, and they're using the system, right? There's a million systems out there, and there's going to be a lot of people that are successful that do think in the way that most people that are into personal growth and development, all that stuff, will think, and they're going to talk in that manner. But that doesn't mean that you should be doing what they're doing. There's a difference between what they're doing and who they are. You can be interested in who they are and be attracted to that, but don't automatically jump into do what they're doing because that's what's working for them. This is where it's tying it back to being independent. You should always be aware of, what you're going to invest your time and your money and your energy into, right? Because we all have a limited amount of time in a day, and, we're not going to live forever. So you can easily go down this path that costs you a lot of time and money that you could have avoided, or you have to see the signs. Don't make the mistake of being a part of something or doing something for too long. If you see it's not working for you, if it doesn't make sense, if you're asking questions, this doesn't seem right, or, the work involved to get these results, you're not excited about, or you find it difficult, then that's a warning that you might want to look elsewhere or do something else, right? I don't want you to lose time in your life chasing things and investing in areas that don't matter, and then learning that lesson a little too late because you won't get that time back. And that's what I did. And again, I don't particularly regret it. It's what allowed me to kind of change gears and kind of pursue a different area, and it kind of got me to where I'm at now. But I could have gotten there sooner, right? And it's not enough just to work hard, right? You might get into a particular platform, you might work hard, but if it doesn't work for you, then that's probably not what you should be doing, right? You can cost yourself a lot of time by doing the wrong thing. And a lot of people think that working hard is a secret, and it's not. And sometimes you get into these platforms and people are just teaching like grinding and work and this and that, no sleep and blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. And it sounds cute, it sounds nice, it sounds motivating. But hard work isn't the secret, right? Because if hard work was the secret, then you would have tons of employees out there that work for companies. They would be the ones making the money because the employees work harder than the bosses all the time, right? You would have construction workers, roofers and stuff, and people that do very hard physical labor. They would be the ones making all the money, and that's not the case. So be careful in getting tied up into the work hard mentality. As long as you work hard at this, it'll work out. That's not the case. It's just not. And people that say they're throwing you off are off the course. So again, when people start telling you that, you have to be aware and have that independent thinking to say, hold on, if I go down this path, is this going to get me what I want? And be questioning and analyzing where you're going to invest, what you're going to commit to. Yeah, that's critical. That's absolutely critical, because whatever you're going to do, it's going to probably take you a couple years to accomplish whatever it is that you're looking for realistically. So you have to be careful in what you pursue, right? How many people, they've all been taught, go to school and get a job, get a career and all that stuff. And then 10, 15 years down the line, they're not satisfied with their lifestyle. they're lacking time. They want more time with their family and their kids. They thought that they would have more money. They have all this financial pressure, and they're not satisfied and happy with their lives, right? They're not fulfilled. They don't have time for hobbies and traveling, and they're still stuck. But they did what the goal was, right? What everyone else told them to do, but they weren't independent enough to have the foresight to say, okay, in the future, if I do this and this and this, what am I going to have, right? Because everyone has already followed that path, and you can see what those people get without even going down that path. But if you're not independent enough, you're going to think, just like everybody else, that that's the secret. And once you get there, then you would have spent more time than you needed to get there, just to realize something you could have realized before you even started. And I say that because, again, you have to be an independent thinker at all times. I've always been the one to realize when I was 17 years old, I even thought to myself, okay, is this it? If I go down this path, I already know family and friends that have already gone down this path, and I don't want their lifestyle. I don't want to be them. I wouldn't trade my life for them. Yeah, they might make some more money in this area or whatever, or, at the time, but it's not what I wanted, right? So you have to be able to say, okay, is this what I want? And is this going to get me what I want, right? Because if it's not, it doesn't matter how hard you work at it, you're still not going to get it, because that's not the vehicle that was designed for that. And that's critical in whatever you're pursuing, because a lot of us, obviously where it's a personal development, a lot of stuff we get that kind of ties into health and relationships and spiritual growth and all this stuff, and you kind of want to put all these pieces together, and finances is a big piece of that, right? And everything that you do and anything you're going to begin to get yourself involved in, ask yourself, do I believe this is for me? Does this make sense to me? Does the work that's going to be involved, is that something I can see myself doing long term? Do I want to invest in this? Is this sustainable for me, right? Forget about what the mentality was of someone that might have been doing well or is doing well and using that platform or going down that path. Forget about the mentality, because you might be attracted to their mentality and it might have worked for them, and you'd be like, wow, he was broke and look where he's at now, blah, blah, this stuff. And they might have a story to tell like everybody else, but don't put the two together, because a story and a platform are two different things. That might have worked for them, but the only question that matters is, before you get down this path, right? Before you go down this path, is this going to work for you? Can you do the work? Can you sustainably do the work? Is it the right time in your life to invest in something like that? And those are the questions you have to ask, because when you're independent like that, you could always look for the facts in a situation, and then determine if that's going to help you and if that's what you need. Always look for what you need, not what someone else is saying or what someone else thinks or someone else told you to do. What do you need? Do you see yourself going down this path? Do you think this is going to work for you? And if you go down a path and you see that it's not producing what you want, it's not necessarily that it's maybe not the platform for you, but again, you might have to assess before you spend too long going down the wrong path, because then it's going to cost you to come back and change directions, right? It's going to cost you. And again, if anything you want to do is going to take you a couple years to make it happen realistically, right? So what you don't want to do is go down the wrong path. You don't want to follow the wrong people, and you don't want to take bad advice. It's so easy. It's so easy to go to school for things that you don't want to go to school for, right? Because someone says, oh, you should go to school for that. You're good at this. Do you really believe you're good at that? Do you know your own strengths, right? Is this something, do you see yourself, signing up for these classes and taking this test and doing this homework, right? And going down this path? Is this something that's going to get you what you want? Because you have to be able to see the end goal before you start on that path and determine if that works for you. And because it worked for somebody else, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that's critical, because again, we only have so much time, and we can waste so much time going down the wrong path because we didn't have the awareness, or we didn't question what we needed to question. We didn't determine if that path is going to get us what we wanted, right? And you could fall for the bullshit that people will tell you. You can fall for what everyone else is doing, right? And it's very simple. Just have the independence to look at what everybody else is doing. Because if they're giving you advice, someone else is telling you to go down this path, right? Then look at their results. And if you want those results and you can follow that path, there's a chance that going down that path will get you what they have. Not necessarily, but there's a chance. But most people that are going to tell you what path to go down, they've only gone down one path, right? And you can see that that's where they spend all their time. That's what everything they focused on their entire life. And if they don't have what you want and they don't have what they want, then there's no point in following that path, right? But there's so many people that don't look at that, right? There's tons of people that go to school. Their parents will say, oh, become a lawyer, right? And they don't even care about being a lawyer, but they'll go down this path and they'll struggle throughout the entire thing because their heart and their mind is not in it and it's not their strength zones. And even if they get the damn diploma at the end, 2 years later they want to change their major, want to change something, and they're completely ineffective because, again, they didn't have the independence to say, I don't care if you want me to go to school for that. I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm going to do. Because it's very easy for someone to tell you what to do, right? But you're the one that's going to do the work. You're the one that's going to pay for the classes. You're the one that's going to do the homework. You're the one that has to show up. You're the one that's to drive to and from school. You, right? You. So ultimately, when anyone's giving you advice, or if you see a particular path or a platform you want to go down, ask yourself, can I do this work? What it takes? Is that something that I see myself doing? Is that something I want to do long term? Before you go down that path and spend your time and money, your energy, and then potentially have to come back around and change paths and look for something else, ask those questions, right? Ask those questions. A lot of you watching this might even be in situations where you feel kind of stuck, like you're doing something, you might have career paths and certain stuff like that you're not happy with, right? And ultimately, everything is about happiness. Everything. You don't go to, most people, they'll go to school for, they have ideas of what they're into, what they want to learn, what they want to do as a career and that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of people that do things that don't make them happy because they bought into an idea that going down a particular path was going to get them what they wanted, right? And even if the path isn't working for them, they still don't question why it's not working for them, or if they should change their direction, right? If they should use another vehicle, if they should try another platform. Most people don't do that. They stay stuck right then and there, don't even question anything, right? Because they're lacking awareness. They're lacking an independent mind to say, hey, this isn't working for me. Or even way before that, hey, that's not going to work for me. No, I'm not going to do that. That's where you want to get to, when you can say, I'm not touching that because I know where that's going to get me. That's better than going down the path and realizing, shit, like I should have looked into this more. This isn't what I wanted to do, right? And I realized that even in school, and I changed my major a couple times too, and I got everything that I needed to get out of school, right? And I realized something towards the end because I went to school for IT and computer science, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. And once tests or courses started coming out where it was the calculus and all that stuff and analytical geometry and all these science, I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't have time for this. This isn't what I want to learn. And I switched gears. Okay, now I'm going to go to school for music production and sound technology. That's what I like, right? This is what I want to do. I'm into this. And something happened in my mind when I was independent enough to say, yeah, I could go to school for this where there's more money, this and this and that. But I already knew who I was. I knew that the end goal for me was not going to be working for someone for the rest of my life. So I wasn't pursuing this career path that I need to just go spend 20 years in. Like I was in school for a while too, in college for a while, many years, because I changed my major a couple times. But I knew what I wanted. Once I knew that it wasn't working for me, I changed gears, and then I finally went for what I wanted to, and I got what I wanted out of it. And I was in this class filled with people that wanted to make money in something, in music and all that stuff, and I knew that wasn't the case, right? But I was fine with that because I made my own decision that I wanted to go to school for something that I found interesting, that I could see myself learning even if it's not for money, right? And that something happened there because then I felt like I was standing out in the class. Like I knew why I was there. I didn't do it because it sounded cool. I wanted to make beats and all that crap. I was into production and recording and writing and blah, blah, and all that stuff. So even back then I had that, and then once I realized, there's nothing else the school's going to teach me that I care about, I dropped, I cut, boom, done. And I feel no kind of way about it, right? Because I got what I wanted out of it. And I changed gears when I needed to, right? And it's a beautiful thing when you can think outside of the box. When you're not doing stuff based on what other people tell you to do, what their expectations are, right? There's a power in that. And when you start doing that, you start cultivating confidence in your own decisions. And the beauty behind being able to make up your own mind and think independently is that you're able to trust your own decisions. Once you can say you don't need someone else's opinions or advice because you've done enough things in your own life and seen the results of those things, that you can now have the confidence and trust in your own judgment, that is a beautiful thing. It takes a while to get there. You have to be independent for a while. You have to chase different things that you believe are the path that you need to, right? And then come out on the other end so that you can have the data and your own experiences and your own references, so you can say, I can trust what I believe in is the right thing to do, right? The right path. You can start trusting your own decision making, and that's great when you can trust your own judgment. I realized that a while back that I was there, and it's awesome because you don't have confusion. You don't regret stuff. You're not like nervous about different paths you're going to go down. You know where you need to focus on, what you need to do at all times, and it's an excellent place to be. And there's people that are, probably twice my age that don't have that ability to say, I want to go do this and pursue that and know what's going to come out on the other end, or be confident that they can do something without results for a while until it works out, right? Because they haven't gone on that path, because they probably followed one path that everyone told them to go, and they might have met that goal and that's it. That was the end of it, right? Because no one else gave them another goal, right? When you're independent, you can realize, hey, I went to school, I graduated, I have the career, I have a house, blah, blah. What's next? But most people don't ask that question, right? They're done. They're done because that goal wasn't theirs. Someone else gave them that goal. So now they're waiting for another goal to be given to them for them to do something else. And that's lack of awareness and lack of independent thinking. So they'll just sit there and do the same thing for the rest of their lives, even though it's not working out for them and they're not happy. And that's why I'm making this video. Don't spend time in areas that don't matter. If you're working on a platform or something that you're pursuing and it's not working for you, have the awareness to ask yourself questions. Is this working for me? Should I do something a different way? Should I do something else completely different? And always ask yourself, are you happy with what you're doing? Love the work that you're going to do, right? Because the work is how you're going to get there. So if you hate the work, forget about the path. Change gears, change paths. If you're not in love with the work, it's not going to work for you, right? And so you have to have the awareness to question what you're doing and the work that's involved, and be able to commit. Ask yourself, can I do this work sustainably? Is this something I can see myself doing for a couple of years? Because it might take a couple of years. Be careful what paths that you go down so you don't waste time and energy and resources in the wrong areas, and just to come back later and regret that you spent too much time, right? Don't wait 10, 15 years down the line for someone to say, or ask you, are you happy with what you're doing? Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I, do something else. You don't want to be older and be figuring things out still, right? So I hope you got something out of that. Those are my experiences. I think that's something super critical. In everything you do, just keep your own independence, right? You can go on social media, you can see tons of people just talking out of their ass, right? They have no education behind what they're saying. They're just saying what everybody else is saying. And then you can see it. When you have the awareness and the enlightenment to catch it, you can see the patterns. They're like cattle that are easily swayed, right? That's how the news works, right? Oh, look at all these cattle. We're gonna tell them this. We're gonna spin it this way, and we're gonna influence their decision making and their actions, and then we can get whatever result out of them, right? You see the patterns, and that's how monetization and marketing and all that shit works, right? Don't be cattle. Don't be cattle, right? Don't be cattle. That's another big one. People that watch news don't have the awareness to know that that's all bullshit, and then they're spinning it to tell you what you want. That's not being an independent thinker, right? I stopped watching news ages ago. I don't care, what Trump is doing. Everyone's so tied up in politics, blah, 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 all this. That's not my president. I'm the president. I'm the president. You don't need government. You're the president of your own damn household, right? Independent thinking. You're the man. You make shit happen. Yes, no, maybe. Should I do this? Should I do that? Why not? Where should I invest? That's how that works. Always you, looking for what you can get out of something, and being able to have the independence and the awareness to make smart decisions that are going to benefit you, right? Be quick to make moves and put in work so you can get the data to see if something's working or not, and you can get to where you're trying to get to faster. Be independent thinking, an independent thinker in everything that you do, and you can stand in a room and not give two shits about what anybody else is doing or saying, because to you, it doesn't matter, because you know what you're doing. You're not confused. You're not wavering in your decision making. You're not wondering what's going to happen. You know what you're doing, right? And that's what you need. And you only get that by being an independent thinker in everything, in every situation. in every situation, because then you can detach from what's going on around you and you can see things for what they are, and you can say yes, no, and there's more black and white and less gray in your life, right? And you can apply that to absolutely everything. So I hope you guys got something out of that. I will see you guys in the next video.